the Atharvaveda, hymn 11.6, 23 verses. We call on Agnya, on the trees, lords of the forest, herbs and plants, Indra, Surya, Brahaspati. May they deliver us from woe. We call on Vishnu, Bhaga, on Mitra, and Varuna, the king. Amsa, Visvat, we address. May they deliver us from woe. We call on Savitar, the god. Light. On Pushan, the establisher. Tvashtar, the foremost, we address. May they deliver us from woe. Gandharvas and Apsarasas, the Asvins. Brahmanaspati, Aryaman, God by name we call. May they deliver us from woe. This word of ours to day and night, and to the sun and moon we speak. All the Adityas we address, may they deliver us from woe. Vata, Parjanya we address, the quarters and the firmament, and all the regions of the sky, may they deliver us from woe. May all that brings a curse, may day and night and dawn deliver me. May Soma free me, God to whom they give the name of Chandramas, all creatures both of heaven and earth, wild beasts and sylvan animals, and winged birds of air we call. May they deliver us from woe. Bhava and Sara we address, and Rudra, who is lord of beasts. Their arrows which we feel and know, may they be ever kind to us. We speak to constellations, heaven to earth, to genii and to hills, to seas, to rivers, and to lakes. May they deliver us from woe. Are the seven rishis we address, waters divine, Prajapati, fathers with Yama at their head, may they deliver us from woe. Gods whose abode is in the heaven, and those who dwell in middle air, and mighty ones who rest on earth, may they deliver us from woe. Adityas, Rudra, Vasus, gods aloft in heaven, Atharvan's sons, the sages' sons of Angiras, may they deliver us from woe. To sacrifice, to worshipper, hymns, songs, and healing charms we speak. To priestly acts and Yajus text, may they deliver us from woe. To the 5 kingdoms of the plants which Soma rules as Lord we speak. Darba, hemp, barley, mighty power, may these deliver us from woe. To demons and fierce fiends we speak. To the holy genii, fathers, snakes, and to the 100 deaths and 1, may these deliver us from woe. We speak to seasons, season lords, to years and sections of the year, to months, half months, and years complete. May they deliver us from woe. Come hither from the south, ye gods, rise and come forward from the west. Gather together, all ye gods, ye mighty ones, from east and from the north. May they deliver us from woe. This we address to all the gods, faithful maintainers of the right, with all their consorts by their side. May they deliver us from woe. We speak to the collected gods, faithful maintainers of the right, present with their collective dames. May these deliver us from woe. The Spirit, yea, the Spirit's Lord, ruler of spirits, we address. Together let all spirits meet. May these deliver us from woe. The 5 sky regions, goddesses, and the 12 seasons, which are gods, the teeth of the completed year, may these deliver us from woe. The deathless balm that Montali knows, purchased at a chariot's price, Indra effused into the floods. Waters give us that healing balm. I don't know how much my stomach sounds you're hearing, but some people are going to be like, well, oh, it's mentioning marijuana. It's like, well, yeah, it's mentioning all the types of things as, method, right? Hymn 11:7, 27 verses. The residue of sacrifice containeth name, and from the world, Indra and Agni and the whole universe are comprised therein. The residue of sacrifice holdeth earth, heaven, and all that is. The residue of sacrifice holdeth sea, waters, moon, and wind. Real, not real, both are there. Prajapata and death, and strength, thereon depend the worldly ones, and me are glory, draw and vraw. The firm, the fast, the strong, the hard, Brahma, all creating 10. Gods as a wheel about the nave are fixed all round the residue, verse, song, and sacrificial text, chanting the prelude and the laud. The hum is in the residue, the tone, the murmur of the psalm. Within the residue, like babes unborn, the parts of sacrifice. In Dragna Pavamana lie. Mahanamni Mahavrata, the Vajpaya, royal right, the Agnishtoma and its forms, hymns, joyfulest with living grass, the Atharvaveda are therein. Diksha and Ajnadanya, right that states the wish with magic hymn. Suspended rites, long sessions are contained within the residue. Faith, fire oblation, fervent zeal, sacrifice, and sacrificial cry. Guerdon, good works, and their reward are stored within the residue. Sacrifice of one night, R2, said Yahkri, Uktya, and Prakri, call, deep toned, summons are therein. Fine parts through lore of sacrifice, sacrifice of 4 nights, of 5, of 6 nights, day and night conjoined. Shaldasan, 7-night sacrifice, all these spring from the residue, these, which are the immortal one contains. Pratahara and Nidhanam, the Visvajit, the Abhijit, the 2 Sahna Tiratras, and 12-day rite are stored therein. Pleasantness, reverence, peace, and power, strength, vigor, immortality. All forward witches are with love satisfied in the residue. 9 several oceans, earths, and skies are set within the residue. Bright shines the sun therein, and me, the residue, are day and night. The residue, the Father's sire, who bears this universe, supports Vishuvant, Upahabhya, and all worship offered secretly. A Father's sire, the residue, grandson of spirit, primal sire, Lord of the universe, the bull dwells on the earth, victorious. Right, truth, dominion, fervent zeal, toil, duty, action, future, past, valor, prosperity, and strength dwell in the residue and strength, welfare, resolve, and energy. The six expanses, kingship, sway, per and direction, and the year oblation plants are therein. And the four hotars, aprihims, the Nevids, and four monthly rites, oblations, sacrifices, and animal offerings, and their forms, months, half months, sections of the year. Seasons are in the residue, the waters, resonant afar, the thunder, and the mighty noise, pebbles, sand, stones, and herbs, and plants and grass are in the residue. Closely embraced and laid therein are lightnings, and the clouds and rain, gain, acquisition, and success, fullness, complete prosperity. Great gain and wealth are laid, concealed, and treasured in the residue. All things that breathe the breath of life, all creatures that have eyes to see, all the celestial gods whose home is heaven, sprang from the residue. Verses and songs and magic hymns, Purana, sacrificial text, all the celestial gods whose home is heavily sprang from the residue. In breath and out breath, eye and ear, decay and freedom from decay. All the celestial gods whose home is heaven sprang from the residue. All pleasures and enjoyment, all delights and rapturous ecstasies, all the celestial gods whose home is heaven sprang from the residue. All the deities, the fathers, men, Gandharvas, and Apsaras, all the celestial gods whose home is heaven sprang from the residue. And so we have these specific, non-specific, different lengths, sorts of rites. Just like with the further, all these different things adding up to be the means of delivering from woe, or if you're right in those categories, then, you're delivered from woe. And there's a lot of technical terms here. I know the Mahabharata is the great work series of ceremonies. And if you know what some of the other ones are, feel free to leave those comments.